Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
Today, President Joe Biden signed an executive order on digital assets. Now, we've been waiting to see the contents of this executive order for probably close to half a year at this point. If memory serves, it was first announced that it was being worked on back in October of last year, and there were many fears, and I understand why, from people within the world of crypto about this potentially being some sort of draconian approach that would harm crypto. But as it turns out, it's been pretty well universally praised, just about universally praised from pretty much everybody that's interested in crypto. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the times I don't like executive orders because what I've seen in modern politics is that they're frequently used to skirt the system that's set up within the United States, which is to say, rather than get a law passed through Congress, just assign an executive action. Just skirt the system. And so, of course, those only last for as long as that particular president that signs it is in office, so executive orders can be short-lived, but still, I don't like the way that frequently they're used. But that really wasn't the case here. Having read through this, I have no concerns that this was used in an inappropriate way. This really does just cover stuff having to do with digital assets, central bank digital currencies, specifically risks to the global monetary system, including what role the United States should have, especially if there's a central bank digital currency that's launched. And I got to tell you this at the outset of the video. This proves that Ripple positioning XRP as a bridge currency, that being a core component of their business model, is just hitting the nail on their head. I'm going to show you, I'll tell you what, there are 9 instances of cross-border transactions in this executive order, and so it's understood how impactful this digital assets can be, whether you're talking about central bank digital currencies or XRP specifically as a bridge currency. There does seem to be an understanding that efficiencies are to be picked up here. And it's just affirmation that the route that Ripple's going on, it's the right path. And even the government at the highest levels does seem to understand that. And I'm not kidding, like they're even talking about how central bank digital currencies would interact with decentralized cryptocurrencies, and they're not citing XRP specifically, but obviously XRP would be one to consider. And so the implications for XRP's long-term viability and being positioned as a bridge currency, very good. This is just something that reinforces its particular use case as a bridge currency. That's how Ripple wants to position it. Of course, it can do all sorts of other things. It's a permissionless system, so developers building on top of Ledger can use it for whatever the hell they want to use it for. Also noteworthy, Bitcoin was not mentioned one single time in this whole thing. Also somewhat regrettable, I think it's fair to say, there was almost nothing about decentralization. There are 2 mentions of decentralization within this whole thing, and there's no emphasis at all in terms of moving forward with permissionless systems. And in fact, it's really heavy on the central bank digital currency stuff, but are you surprised to hear that? So it's not that this is perfect and still things can go terribly wrong, but the order itself, what I'm sharing with you, is that there's nothing horrific about it. And mind you, I don't have the financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, so you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys talking about this stuff. Just, on YouTube, just as a hobby, just for fun. But man, what a read this has been. And so actually, I think I'm going to start off by sharing with you some comments from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, Congressman Tom Emmer, who is very pro XRP, and he has stated that he doesn't believe XRP is is a security rather. I got a couple comments from Anthony Pompliano, who is a Bitcoin maximalist, and also attorney John Deaton. So let's dig in here. And then after that, I am going to share with you, because I printed this thing up, you can hear this, got some dead trees in my hand right here. I'm going to break down some of the comments specifically having to do with cross-border and exactly what this would mean for XRP being positioned as a bridge currency. It's all good stuff in terms of long-term viability, though, I'll tell you that. And so here's what Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse had to say. Like many of you, I thought the Biden administration's executive order would acknowledge crypto, but not detail specifics on next steps for regulation. However, I was pleasantly surprised and inspired by the executive order, acknowledging the need for evolution and alignment of the government's approach to crypto. So I'll just pause to note, I agree with that. As written, the executive order, it's not demanding a whole bunch of stuff. It's demanding a report be created and submitted to the president within 180 days, and there's stuff along those lines. But that's innocuous at this point. It's more like, what's the next step? What's going to be in the report? And whose political aims are actually going to be fed into the most? See, that's what we'll be watching on the next step. But the executive order itself, not exactly alarming whether you're on the left or the right. Politically does not matter. It really isn't alarming, honestly. That's my humble opinion. Anyway, Brad Garlinghouse continues. First and foremost, this is an affirmation that crypto is here to stay. Thoughtful policy involves timely input from players, and there's a lot, across the federal government. I don't want to mistake activity for progress, but this does feel like it could be a turning point. The White House finally says what we and the industry have been saying for years. If the United States wants to maintain its status as a responsible tech leader, it needs to provide a clear regulatory framework for an industry that's exploding in growth. 40 million Americans and counting, in fact. Years of damage done by the SEC's siloed regulation by enforcement approach can be undone through collaboration between all agencies. Ripple stands ready to educate and assist. If we are to catch up with the rest of the world, we need prompt and decisive action ASAP. Brad Garlinghouse gets a golf clap for that one. Yeah, so I agree with these statements, and it is nice, because here's one of the things also, and I've mentioned this a number of times on the channel, and Brad was touching on it here. The SEC, he's talking about siloed regulation by enforcement. Yeah, it's pretty much just in the SEC, whatever they want to dictate, cram down the throats of everybody in the space. But what's the president asking for here? Asking for collaboration across a number of entities, and so you might think, okay, if this is a beginning point, if it is, and this could still be ruined, because mind you, we are talking about government here, and the government is, generally speaking, incompetent, and not to be trusted, right? Given that's the case, if this leads to something happening in Congress, if Congress gets proactive pertaining to crypto, and it gets to a point where we're dictating, I shouldn't use the word dictate now, but if they're creating laws that, and policies, regulation that say who's in charge of what, it should go there. Because here's the thing, there's a reason that I've been also talking about how lobbying would be absolutely crucial in getting some sort of understanding set forth within the United States of who's in charge of what as it pertains to crypto. There's a lot of uncertainty there, and so in this vacuum, what's happened is the SEC's come in and just said, we're in charge of everything. So I'm hoping we can get some sort of bill, something passed through Congress, with the people in Congress deciding who exactly is in charge of what, taking some of the power away from the SEC. So that's certainly a hope as well. And then there was this from Tom Emmer. I'm not going to share his whole thread. It was mostly very good. He did say one thing that was just blatantly incorrect. He said that there's no mention of decentralization in this, and there were 2 mentions of decentralization, but I will say one of those was in the context of concerned about what it means, I'm paraphrasing here, but in terms of potential illicit activity as a result of decentralized digital assets. So it's not like it was good, but there were technically 2 mentions of decentralization. He is right that there wasn't a strong emphasis in terms of permissionless cryptocurrencies and understanding what the implications of that technology were is really a lot more heavy on central bank digital currencies. But one thing that Congressman Tom Emmer did retweet in this thread was the following, and I love this one, and so I retweeted it actually before recording this. He wrote, "Most fortunately, the executive order doesn't ask the SEC to weigh in. SEC Chair Gensler has spent the past year intimidating crypto innovators and entrepreneurs with his unproductive regulation by public statement and enforcement action. His input is not critical." You gotta love seeing that. Here's a tweet, and I'm just going to share the first tweet. He had a thread here also. A lot of people had threads. From Jeremy Allaire, who is the co-founder and CEO of Circle. And he wrote the following: White House executive order and U.S. government strategy for digital assets. A thread with thoughts. This is a watershed moment for crypto, digital assets, and Web3, akin to the 1996/1997 whole of government wake up to the commercial internet. And so I think it's fair to say that it could be equivalent to that. It perhaps is. I'm just waiting to see if the government's going to absolutely just screw this thing up. I think there's a lot more risk when it comes to something like this as opposed to the internet, because specifically when you're talking about how this is going to be regulated within the United States, understand that the United States is in control of the dollar, the United States dollar, which is the global reserve. The United States has more to lose than any other country on the planet if a decentralized cryptocurrency becomes the global reserve. And so it's not a surprise to me to see that there's such a strong push in terms of getting their heads around what it would mean to launch a central bank digital currency, which is probably inevitable. I suspect that's going to happen at some point. Here's a Bitcoin maximalist Anthony Pompliano. He shared the following. Every critic who told you that the government was going to ban Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies was wrong. These technologies are imperative to innovation, job creation, and economic prosperity. The White House is looking to embrace the industry, not outlaw it. Okay, fair. I actually like that tweet, and I tend to agree with it. I think based on the tone from the executive order and how it was written, yes, that's correct. That's why I said forward thinking, though, like looking down the path, what's actually coming. Well, that's what we got to watch, because there are all sorts of people with all sorts of different interests, and I'm just concerned about the, endless number of ways that this could be absolutely destroyed in terms of approach. Anthony Pompliano also tweeted out this, and I'm going to critique this. He wrote, "The United States just publicly said they want to be the leader in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The global competition is underway." And then he shared this snippet, but he literally said something that's not true. There's zero mentions of Bitcoin in this thing. This is what happens if you're a maximalist. Nothing personal, Anthony Pompliano, but what you wrote here literally is not true. Bitcoin absolutely was not mentioned, so I'm sorry, respectfully calling you out, sir. It's good for crypto in general, at least at this point. But again, to state that United States wants to be the leader in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, if anything, they want to be the leader as they currently are, but just in a new digital form with a central bank digital currency. That looks more like that to me. Then there's this from Attorney John Deaton. The EO, executive order, directs agencies to work with our allies and partners to ensure international frameworks. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority declared XRP a non-security. Japan's FSA declared XRP a non-security. Switzerland, the UAE, Singapore, and other countries around the world say XRP is not a security. So just highlighting this, because XRP is not explicitly stated here, but they did talk about, again, cross-border transactions and how a central bank digital currency would interact with them. And we still in the United States don't have legal clarity surrounding XRP, although that's just temporary, right? Then there was this from Gary Gensler. I forgot to let you know at the outset. He chimed in, of course. Here's what Gary Gensler said, and then I'm going to share with you what John Deaton's response was to this. But SEC Chair Gary Gensler said the following. Today, the President of the United States signed an executive order on crypto assets. I look forward to collaborating with colleagues across the government to achieve important public policy goals, protecting investors and consumers, guarding against illicit activity, and helping ensure financial stability. Yay, Gary, I can't wait for you to protect me more. I feel so protected. I sleep so easy at night knowing you're out there protecting me. Here's what John Deaton had to say about that. Gary Gensler and Senator Elizabeth Warren's approach against crypto will lose in the end. The fact that Gensler's first public comment regarding the executive order highlights illicit activity but leaves out capital formation tells you everything you need to know about his intent. Isn't that something? Isn't the SEC, isn't that part of their mission to help facilitate or capital formation? Yes, the answer is yes, of course. But he's just talking about protecting us because we can't take care of ourselves. We're just the dumb public. But he's Gary Gensler, and he comes flying in with a cape to save the day. Ooh, Gary man. And so there's that. It's the and that illicit activity. That's what he's tweeting about. His first tweet about this.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.